Legal Live is brought to you by Farah and Farah.
The comments and opinions expressed on this radio program do not constitute legal advice and do not create an attorney-client relationship. If you have a legal problem, a formal consultation will be required outside of this radio program.
This is Legal Live with Eddie and Chuck Farah. They're talking the latest legal news and answering your questions. To call Legal Live and ask Eddie and Chuck a question, grab your phone and dial 855-765-1045. That's 855-765-1045.
All right, welcome to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. I'm Sheifalika, and I'm joined today by Eddie Farah. How are you doing today?
Really good, Sheifalika. Thanks for being here.
Good. I'm happy to be here.
We took a little break last weekend, but we're back at it, after the Labor Day and all that.
That's right.
It's great that football season's starting. Jags are on tomorrow, so it's a great time during the fall, as we all know. We all love the fall.
That's right.
But we got Legal Live going on, and we got all kind of, your phone calls are the priority. We will take your calls about any legal topic, or if you just want to make a comment, it's fine with us. You may not just agree with what I'm saying, or when Chuck's here, we're talking about. We want to hear your opinion. All opinions are accepted. We want to know what you want to talk about.
That's right.
Because we learn from you too. I mean, I've learned so much from this show. Everybody calls me for advice, but I end up learning about legal topics that I've never thought about, and we always reach out to other lawyers, friends of mine in the community, who are willing to, answer my questions because I don't know it all. We're a personal injury firm, but we've dabbled in other stuff in years past, and sometimes we have the answers. But give us a chance, and of course, you always have that resource of the Jacksonville Bar Association. Here in Jacksonville, they serve the entire area, where you can pay $50 for a 30-minute consultation with an expert in the field that you need help in. And it's a great resource. It's a great deal. It's the best deal going. So with that, I'll just delve into what I want to talk about until we hear from you guys. But something I always find interesting is, the law is always it evolves, it changes. Nothing's black and white. If the law were black and white, you wouldn't probably need any lawyers. It's just everybody would know what the answer would be. But if you look at just the laws on trespass, when you enter into a property, let's say you go to a big box store, you go to Walmart or Target or Publix, your status on that property determines how they've got to treat you. So these stores want you to come into their place of business. They want you to spend your money. So they have a higher duty of care to you. You're considered an invitee, and which means they have a duty to maintain a safe premises. They have a duty to keep the floors clean. They have a duty to watch out for the way shelves are stacked so that items don't fall on you. They have a duty to keep the parking lot safe so you're not assaulted when you stop by and park your car. But when you're a trespasser, you have a different status. If someone is on your property and they don't have your consent to be there, then your duty to that person is a lot different because they're not there with your permission or your consent. But you still owe them a duty. You would think that, well, if that person's on my property without my consent, I owe them no duty. They have no right to be there. But the law still imposes on you a duty not to intentionally hurt them, which means you can't do anything intentionally to hurt that person who is a trespasser on your property, nor can you engage in gross negligence that would hurt somebody. For instance, if you knew trespassers were coming onto your property and there was a trap there that they didn't know about that you knew about, but you knew that trespassers were coming onto your property and they'd be in that same area. If they were injured, you would have responsibility for that, even though they are a trespasser, because you're basically committing gross negligence because you knew of a dangerous condition, you knew trespassers would be there, and they were injured. So just because someone is a trespasser on your property, that means you can just turn away and not worry about it. But we got a couple of calls because I want to talk about an exception to the trespasser rule in just a second, but after we take these phone calls.
Yeah,
we'll get
let's
back into
let's
it.
go straight in. And that is interesting what you said about trespassing. We'll come back to that in just a moment. Right now, we have Mark on the line, and you've got a question about a rental car. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, Mark.
Call.
Are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Mark.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for calling in.
Well, thank you for taking the call. My question is this. When a rental car company allows their cars to be booked through a third-party agency without naming any, and when you show to get the car, they tell you, I'm sorry, we have no cars, but we could upgrade you, and then it's an upcharge. How are they allowed to do this? And normally I wouldn't ask this question, but as recently as yesterday, I was number 7 in line without a car.
Yeah. Well, it's a contract. You have to read the agreement that you signed, because I don't think there's a guarantee that they're going to get you that car that you reserved. I think that's how they get around it. Or are you talking about like a bait and switch they're doing? They get you on one car and they try to upgrade you to another one, make you pay more. Were they making you pay more money for that upgrade?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's an interesting case. You think they're booking cars they don't even have just to get people in the system to try to upsell them? Could be.
That's my belief.
Could be. That could be a class action. I mean, I don't know. If you want to, I'd like to see that. I mean, I'd like to look. I know, listen, we're a personal injury firm, but I know attorneys that may be interested in that case. So if you want to leave your phone number with the producer here, I can try to reach out to someone. Because if that's what happened to you, did you read the contract to see we don't guarantee the vehicle that you're reserving? Did you read it? Is there anything in there about that?
Well, it does say that they don't guarantee that car will be available.
Right.
But that is what brings me to the question that when you get there, also in that contract, when you negotiated that price, even though they may say that car is not available, you are under the belief that there will be a car there, especially when they tell you that this is non-cancelable. You're not allowed to cancel it without forfeiting your money.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get there, they're almost guaranteed to make additional money, or you walk away and lose what you put down.
Well, no, if they can't provide you a car at that price, then you would not lose that.
No, they refuse to provide one at that price.
And they were going to still take your money and not was there no refund on that?
There was no refund. I was not allowed to cancel the reservation. I had agreed to pay for the car for that price, and I have no recourse but to upgrade and give them additional funds.
Wow.
Or lose my money.
Okay, they told you that you could not. They would not refund you the money. You had to upgrade to get.
Because I had gone through a third-party booking agency.
Yeah.
Well, they allow the third party to do that.
Yeah. Mm. It's an interesting question because it's happened. I don't know if you've ever seen that Seinfeld episode where Jerry goes up to rent a car, and he says, "I got to have a reservation," and she says, "Well, we don't have that car." It's pretty funny. But there's a Seinfeld episode. You got to go look it up.
Oh no, Mark is living an episode of Seinfeld.
It's
right
exactly what happened to you, and that's what I was thinking when you started telling your story. I was thinking about that Seinfeld.
What's the deal
where
with
Jerry
that?
he goes up to rent a car. She goes, "We don't have that car." He goes, "Well, I had a reservation," and she goes, "Well, we don't have the car." Well, that's why I have a reservation.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, Mark, you can feel free to leave your number with our producer Daniel.
Yeah.
And we can get some more information for you so you don't have to live a sitcom. You can get some actual justice and maybe even get your money back.
Yeah.
Well,
interesting case because they wouldn't give him his money back. He'd get a more expensive vehicle.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Well, thank you for calling, Mark. And we have a couple more callers on the line. Hang tight. We'll be right back after this quick break. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. Give us a call at 855-765-1045. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV. Feel free to give us a call at 855-765-1045. I'm Sheifalika, and we're joined today with Eddie Farah. We've got a caller on the line, Eddie. Eric from Jacksonville, you got a question about property rights. Tell us what's going on.
So I got a fun question for you.
Okay.
So I buy storage units and resell the contents of said storage unit. And I know that, in the past I've bought storage units that had like artwork and different things, and I know it's perfectly legal to sell that. But I recently came across a locker that had a bunch of digital media, cartoons, and a bunch of stuff that was produced and created by this individual. And I believe they were a film student. But what I want to know is it legal to sell digital media that someone created?
Well,
That's interesting.
if it's considered, I don't know. That's an interesting.
It's a tough one. I know. A lot of people have been struggling with this question.
Does it have
if it's abandoned?
Yes, it's an abandoned locker. It had various zip drives and computers, and I always go through just to see people's lives, because I love to see what people do with their life so I can improve my own.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of zip drives that have like homemade cartoons and stuff, and they're a little crude, but they're also quite hilarious. And I want to know, would it be legal for me to monetize
Looney Tunes,
it?
like some like Looney Tunes or something?
No. These are handmade. These are, I believe the person I bought the locker from, or whoever abandoned it, it looks like they were in the film industry.
Yeah, and they were just goofing off around the house and everything.
Exactly. And I Googled the, some of the characters in there, and I can't find anything on the internet anywhere. So these look like one-off things that he did for himself or she or whoever. And I'm just curious, is there, a way that I can monetize it and, kind of put the stuff out
property.
there?
It's like somebody taking something, throwing it away. I mean, you could throw away anything. I could throw away a Rolex watch, and if you get it out of the garbage can, it's yours. If I intended to throw it away, I mean, he could have paid the money and kept that stuff. Have you tried to get in touch with him to see if he wanted to buy it?
Well, no, I don't know what happened to the person. I know there was personal pictures that I returned back, because I don't do pictures or IDs or anything like that. I always return that back to the facility. But this is my first time that I've ever found something that may actually be worth money in a digital format.
Yeah.
So the intellectual property rights is what comes into mind for me.
Yeah, but you can throw anything away, Sheifalika. You can throw, like I said, digital property is yours. I mean, everything in that unit was his. So, it's not just the digital property. But if you abandon it, I guess. Unless it's been copywritten, you don't know if he's done that. That may be something different if he copyrights it.
I just looking at it, it's like I said, this is probably, like if you can imagine the first couple of months of South Park when they were creating their stuff. I'm not saying it's South Park, but I'm just saying when it was really crude, really basic, but it was still quite funny. This is kind of the same realm of it, and there's quite a few hours of media.
It's possible it could have been a school project type thing if he was a student.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, or a personal project.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think you're okay if he abandoned it. Now, if it's been copywritten and it's like, it's his, does he give? I don't think he gives up the copyright by just leaving that zip drive there. It's a different it's a different type of property.
Well, the characters that are on the cartoons,
right?
I Google searched it. I even did some Google image searches. I can't find anything on Google saying that this is already out there. So I think it's all been on his computer only.
Yeah, but you don't know if it's been. I don't know if they register it or they copyright it, and it's like in D.C. somewhere at the, at the Library of Congress. I don't know.
It could be on creative platforms like Tumblr. Or
something like that. You need to contact a lawyer who deals with that kind of stuff, like a copyright lawyer.
Okay.
I mean, I would do
that. is I find some of the craziest stuff in there, and this is the first time that I found something I was like, this is enough at least to ask the question.
Were they pretty funny or?
It's okay. I mean, it's not bad. It's crude, but it's you know, a lot of it's hand drawn, and you know, they use like they'll draw a figure and then use, I guess, some kind of Photoshop thing to make it move, and you know, so it's crude, but it's a unique form of comedy.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, the guy was onto something. I don't know. Yeah, I think I mean, again, you could probably call the Jack's Bar Association, talk to one of their. They'll get you a lawyer for $50 for a half hour, and you can pose that question to them about whether or not you can monetize it. Why, do you intend to monetize it and sell it to someone?
Well, when I buy a storage unit, I try to monetize every single thing I can in there. So that's how I make my living.
Well, are you going to be able? How would you monetize this? You would go try to sell it to like
I'd put it on YouTube.
Huh?
I'd put it on YouTube.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, like start playing it on YouTube and see if it generates some interest. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because they're already preset videos. They're edited, they're done, you know, and they're all a whole bunch of like 15-minute videos, but they're all handmade. They're all, you know.
Oh, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, the editing's been done, and they're just ready to be out there.
Right. That's why that's kind of where I'm at the point that, you know, like, hey, this might actually be something, and you know, I got a YouTube page I could throw it on, but I just wasn't sure 100% on whether it's legal to do digital media.
Yeah,
I have an idea.
Go ahead,
I don't know if it'll help. So you searched the names of the characters and you couldn't find that. It's possible that the creator didn't list it under the characters, but there is something, a reverse Google image search. So if you take you've done that. Okay, great.
Yep.
And I wonder if you check creative platforms like Tumblr, where a lot of artists or art students, film students, they post their work, TikTok, stuff like that. It's possible that this material might be too old. It's not online yet, or it could be just a part of a school project. But I'm wondering if you do your due diligence to find the creator and either return the property or see if it's copywritten through a copyright attorney, then I wonder if it is, because it's now in your possession, it is up to you to do with it what you will. Well, I have that phone number for you.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. You talking about for the Jacksonville Bar Association?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I got that one already. I'm good on that.
Okay, good.
But no, it's like I've bought lockers where it had a bunch of like hand painted art. I've bought lockers with statues where they're and that's, you know, that's tangible property, and I know I can buy and sell and do whatever. But the digital aspect of this is what's throwing me off a little bit, because, you know, you hear all these stories about, you know, other people, famous people that have their lockers bought, and the next thing you know, all their videos are online, you know. But that's where I was kind of wondering. And then there's always lawsuits afterwards. I just don't want to be involved. I'd rather not do anything with it than have to deal with the lawsuit.
Yeah, what's the most valuable item if you don't mind telling us? You don't want to answer it. What's the most valuable?
I bought a locker 2 months ago for $10 and sold over $700 out of it.
You're kidding.
And then I mean, I have a safe full of gold and silver.
Well, wow.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, if you would not, but now at the same time, you get all the trash, all the old food, all the clothes that haven't been washed. So it's a double-edged sword. It's an interesting life I live, but it's not necessarily glamorous.
I mean, it sounds like a reality show.
It does.
Eric,
there is one. It's Storage Wars, but
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's partial. The premise is true, but there's a lot of production put into that show.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's an interesting little gig you got going. I like it.
I like it
Yeah,
too.
really cool.
Well, I love treasure hunting, but I don't like digging.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you do? The junk, the old clothes, just throw them away and just ditch them, or?
You'd be surprised what can sell on eBay.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, you never look past anything. You just put it out there. If someone buys it, they do. If you don't, then I throw it away.
You know what? I really like this. And I like what you mentioned at the very beginning, Eric, when you said that you like to see what people's lives are like so that it helps you with your life. I think that's pretty cool, too.
It's almost, there's like a philosophical component to this job he's got, you know?
Yeah, it's amazing what people buy and what they throw away, what they let go. And, you know, I've seen so many people that have passed and left wonderful stories behind. I've seen people that, you know, have been to jail and they lost their locker, and I get to find out everything that they did. You know, so it's a
Wow.
it's a different. It's I have a unique view of things because of 20 years of buying storage lockers.
Man, I got to get you on Legal Live one Saturday so we can talk about it.
That would be so
cool. You
cool.
could be our guest.
Hey, I don't have a problem with that.
I know. I think I get you. That's pretty cool. I leave your phone number with the producer, man. We'll arrange something. You can do it from your house too. You know, you don't have to be down here at the studio. If you want to come to the studio, you're welcome to do it.
Yeah, I think I'm not too far from your studio.
Good. Yeah,
that would be so much fun.
We're here by UNF, so
I have so many questions. As a
That's
storyteller,
where I'm at too.
Oh, perfect, Eric.
All
Keep
right.
it up, man. That's cool stuff, man.
Thanks for calling,
Eric.
in. You're listening to Eric. You're listening not to Eric. Legal Live.
Eric's having a blast, man.
I know. That's so cool. So you're listening to Legal Live on 104.5, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We've had some really cool callers today, and we've got more callers on the line. You can feel free to give us a call, too, if you'd like, 855-765-1045. All right, Eddie, let's go to the next caller. We've got Mike from Jacksonville, and you've got a workman's comp question. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, Mike.
Hi. First of all, love your show. Eddie Farah, thumbs up. You do great. I enjoy it, listening to it. But I've got an employee that busted up his back. He went under workman's comp. He had surgery. I don't think they come back with a percentage of disability or whatever. Anyway, he went back to work. How much, if he, in other words, he says, hey, in like 2 years, he says, hey, my back's not right, and I need to see the doctor again. How much time does he have to do that? I mean,
okay. You mean like if you does he have a lawyer?
No, not right now.
Okay. He's coming back to work. If he's going back to work and they've paid all the medical bills, we have 10 lawyers that do workers' comp. I'm a personal injury guy. I know a little bit about the workers' comp stuff because I talk to these guys about different cases, but I know personal injury. I'm familiar with workers' comp, but I think, and I can get you a definitive answer, but it's generally if he comes back to work and the medical bills have been paid, I don't think there's any kind of settlement there if he's still got his job.
He still has his job.
Yeah.
But he's just saying his back's not right.
Well, he's come back. It depends on, did the doctor assign him an impairment rating?
No.
Like he said, you're back to where you were before kind of thing? You can do everything you could do before?
They had put him on short-term or light duty, and he surpassed that.
Right.
But now it's come back, and he's saying, his back still isn't right.
Okay, well, then he would have to get an attorney. And that way, that attorney, based on the percentage of impairment that he has, he would be entitled to a certain amount of money from the insurance company. Okay.
All right. Okay. And let me ask you this.
But it's not going to be, if he's back at working with you, the value of that claim is not a lot, okay?
Right.
And the only way that claim can become worth a lot of money is if the doctor says, and let me tell you, to be honest with you, there's kind of a risk if you take it. Listen, you're going to do what you got to do, and he's a great employee. But if, somebody who's been injured, a lot of employers don't bring him back because they're vulnerable to another injury, and then they have a bigger claim. But that's a different story. But if he comes back to work and he needs more, and the surgery didn't work, that's where the claims become more valuable because the workers' comp carrier will try to buy out his future medical care and wage loss. So if he needs another surgery because the back he ain't doing that good, the doctor says, oh, you need all these treatments, and the cost of that treatment is $100,000, and you're going to be off work for 6 months. That's another $30,000. They'll try to buy that out. That's where the value of that claim comes from. if you're in that situation. But you have a carrier. Your comp carrier is going to advise you on what to do.
I'll say the workman's comp carrier.
I mean, they're going to advise you on what to do. You should be in contact with
I
them.
don't. They have not. I don't think they've counseled him or anything like that.
Well, they're not going to counsel him. They're going to just tell him what they're willing to do. He doesn't have they can't give him legal advice. You should consult with your carrier.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah,
all right.
What are you concerned about? Him making another claim or?
Well, you just want to get his back straightened out, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, then he needs to go back to the doctor. He's got a 2-year gap. If you don't see the doctor for a 2-year period, you lose your benefits.
I see.
So he's got to go back and get somebody to look at it. A workers' comp, not just any doctor, but a workers' comp approved doctor.
I see. I understand.
Yeah, he just can't go to a guy down the street. It won't count.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I wanted to ask you something. In Florida, is there permitting and stuff like that for asbestos? In other words, when you're doing construction in a city, does it have to be asbestos inspected and cleared prior to sending an employee in there?
Yeah, it depends.
To do the demo work?
Yeah. It depends on the building. It happened to us downtown. We bought an old building downtown, and they discovered there was we had to get it all cleaned up before we could tear it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So the state of Florida, they do recognize that.
I think that may be a federal thing, not just state.
Okay.
Yeah, because you could expose your employees to that, and that's a big deal. I mean, you don't want to get involved. That's a big deal.
Right. I understand.
Right.
Mr. Farah, I appreciate you.
Yep.
You coming in on a Saturday morning and doing this for people, and I just want to let you know I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for tuning in. That's why I do it. I appreciate it.
All right.
For listening.
Exactly.
Good luck. Good luck on that case.
Thank you for giving us a call, Mike. That was a very interesting question as well.
Very interesting. The thing about the workers' comp, what I should do is bring one of our workers' comp. We've done that before.
Yeah,
bring
we'll
a
do
workers'
it again.
comp and really talk about it. We always talk about it from the employee side.
Mm-hmm.
What's the employee entitled to? But we should talk about how employers can protect themselves.
That's
too.
true.
Give them what they need to do. But I don't know if Eric is still listening, but no, Mike. I mean, if you fire somebody, this is what you got to be careful about. If you fire someone for filing a workers' comp claim, then you got liability for that, a lot of liability. So you want to be very careful about firing someone because they, file a workers' comp claim with your company.
Yeah.
It's against the law. So
I see. Wow, that's interesting.
Some employers get in trouble doing that. They'll you filed a workers' comp claim, get out of here, and that's very dangerous.
I can understand that.
That's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah, that is. All right. Well, thank you, Mike, for calling. We've got another call on the line. We'll be coming right back to you, Greg. Hang in there. We are listening to Legal Live on 104.5 WOKV. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back. We're jumping right back into it with Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We've got a caller on the line, Greg, and you want to discuss a auto accident. How's it going, Greg?
Yeah, hi. Good morning or good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. But let me just say I do appreciate Farah and Farah coming on the radio every Saturday. I enjoy listening to them. So thank you for doing that. That's a great service to the community. Very much appreciated.
Greg, we appreciate it. We love doing it, and it's the people that make it. That's why we do it.
That's right.
If you guys weren't calling in and all that, and it'd be no fun. But we're having fun too. So go ahead.
Yes.
Thanks.
So let me just diverge for a moment. Let me just add to the fun. Speaking of storage lockers, my wife and I were doing that back in the San Francisco Bay Area over 12 years ago. And I'd like to say that we were the original storage locker people. But I think the best that we ever did is we bought a locker for $3,400 and sold it for just under
Whoa.
$30,000 in return.
That's a heck of a return.
And,
what kind of stuff was in
yeah,
there? Well, I mean, what was in
it
there?
was actually cell phones. And what happened was after 9/11, this company had made these cell phones, and they discovered that the cell phones didn't work in the towers. So this company that had this huge order for these 10,000 phones for first responders found themselves, with the contract rescinded because of that problem. So the company ended up going into bankruptcy, and it was stuck in courts for a number of years, and then finally everything was sold at auction.
Yeah, but if they didn't work, who would want to buy them? If they didn't work, who would spend the money to buy them?
Well, that's where the story gets really interesting. There was an older guy at the auction, and I was looking at the phones, and I'm going, oh, this is just junk. And he turned around. He looked like a mad professor. And he turned around and he looked at me. He goes, no, not really. and I looked at him, and my ears perked up, and I said, well, what do you mean? And then he started rattling off all of the precious metals that were inside the phone.
Oh, I got you,
the gold, the platinum, the silver, the nickel, the
batteries,
rhodium, and all of it, and everything. And he said to me, he goes, this is my company. And he had actually, so he knew the weights. And then he went on to say, I actually know of a place where you can sell these and where they'll recycle them. So that was how that came to be. But the best story of all, and it's not my story, but it's one that I'd heard, some gentleman had bought a locker for $1,500. This was in Northern California, and it ended up having $500,000 worth of gold in a chest.
Oh my God!
Is that a confirmed story or just
yes? It was in the newspaper. That's how I learned about it. It was in Concord. You can Google it. It was in Concord, California, and he had found he bought the storage unit for $1,500, and there was an old chest in there, and he tried to move it, and it weighed a ton. And then when he opened it, he realized what he had.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah,
Are you not doing that anymore?
No, so my wife and I, we had a lot of fun doing it, but then we found that it got to the point to where, because it was on one of these TV shows, that everybody got involved in it, that they were raising the prices so high.
On the bids,
on the bid, and because everyone was excited. But, no, it was a lot of fun while we were doing it. It was great.
I mean, when you're bidding on, I got one more question. When you're bidding on it, do you get to see what's inside first, or you just bid blindly? I mean,
the rule is this. You imagine, what these storage units look like. There's a garage door. Right. They'll open the garage door, but you're not allowed to step inside.
Okay.
And what you do is you can only look at it, and you kind of just make there's some signs of what could be in there. One of the things you look for is if the tape is off, then you know that someone has gone through that locker. I'm not going to say that the owner of the storage place did, but somebody has, and you just more or less, those don't get a bid as good a bid as ones that are neatly packed and stored. So,
right.
You can kind of tell from the outside, what's possible. But, there's no guarantees. Like the other fellow said, sometimes it's just a lot of dirty underwear.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that's the way it is.
I did look it up, by the way, in Concord, California, a storage unit. It was on Storage Wars, actually. A couple bought a unit for $1,100 and found gold doubloons from literally a pirate's or you know what I mean? Like it was about $500,000 worth of gold doubloons just in a chest. I'm not sure if this is the same story you're talking about, but just looking at some of these beautiful coins, my goodness.
Yeah, it's interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we have just a few minutes. So, Greg, let's
All
talk
right,
about your auto accident.
Okay, so my wife was in an auto accident. she was hit from the side. It was the other driver's fault. The other driver was ticketed. So I learned a few things recently, partly from listening to your show. One of them is that the parts that they use on your car is important. And a couple of the estimates that we've gotten, one said that they use OEM parts. Another one said, well, it depends on what the insurance company is willing to pay. So that's question number one. The question number two, also heard on your show, is that you're obviously, after your car has been repaired, it's not the same, and so the value. So
right, been devalued.
That would, a diminished value. And then third is, about the injuries. She's had a CT scan, and the ER doctor's concerned about some spinal issues, and so we're just now getting into that area.
Yeah.
So if you can hit on those three things real quick, I'd appreciate it.
You've covered a lot of stuff there, but first of all, on the property damage, yes, you're entitled to the diminished value. There are people we use or experts. That's something we handle as part of our representation. We will pursue a claim for you for diminished value. And what that means is we hire an expert. He looks at a car like yours that was never involved in an accident and sees what it's selling for retail value, what the retail value is, compared to what a hit car would be. And a car that's been hit, it's not going to be worth as much. So you're entitled to that difference. That's one thing. The next thing is you've got to follow up with a medical doctor, because the emergency room where you went you're good. I mean, they'll give you the preliminary diagnosis of what's going on, but you really got to see somebody that specializes in automobile accidents, that knows what to look for. Also, the doctors that specialize in these auto accidents, they know how to determine the impairment ratings, because everything is based on the impairment rating. A lot of doctors you may go to if you have a flu or a cold or a stomach ache, they're not familiar with the impairment ratings of the AMA guidelines. So secondly, it's not just seeing a doctor, it's seeing a doctor that knows what to do. And then a third, of course, is to try to get a lawyer who wants to look after you. But we'd be more glad and happy to talk to you about it. It wouldn't be good to talk about it over the show because it's open and you want attorney-client privilege. But if you're interested, Greg, you can leave your number and we'll give you a call on Monday.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, where's the car now?
I'm sitting in it.
Okay, okay, all right. So it's drivable then, right?
Yes, it is drivable. But I did get a couple of estimates. It's around just slightly under 10 to repair.
10,000?
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what both places said. It's both the front passenger door and the rear door have to be replaced. I mean, it was a direct broadside hit. And
what's the year of the car? How old is it?
2014. And one of the estimators told me that it was roughly around 85%. I guess they have something in their computer. It kind of tells them that it's roughly 85% of what it would be to, the total price. So, I mean, she thought, it could go up another $1,000 over that. So we're getting close to where the insurance company might total it.
Yeah.
We were told that we should contact the driver's insurance because it's Progressive, because our insurance, Allstate, they said Progressive is easier to work with.
Yeah, because also you don't have to worry about the deductible. If you go through the at-fault driver's insurance company, there's no deductible. You probably have a deductible with your carrier. And then if they total out the vehicle, it looks like they're going to probably end up totaling it out. If they total it out, you want to make sure you get the retail value for it, plus the sales tax and some other stuff. But if you leave your number with the producer, I think our show's over right now. You leave your number. We'll be in contact with you on Monday.
Okay, I'll do that.
And I may have somebody call you this weekend even, but we can discuss it more further. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. That was a really interesting call as well. We might have to do a storage unit episode.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to be here for that. That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everybody who called in today and listened to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah Farah on 104.5 WOKV. We'll be back next weekend for another episode at noon. Thanks for listening.